Why is that still playing, I wonder?
Stuck in the Matrix.
I don't know. Stuck in the Matrix. It's still playing. Why is that still playing, I wonder? Maybe is it my phone doing that? Yeah, okay. Sorry. What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. We back. Season 2.
Can I do it?
What can you?
I've been wanting to do this.
What can you do?
I've been wanting to do this for 4 weeks. We're back. Now you can go.
He's back. Hang tight. All right, and this is Kev's favorite part of the show.
Raise your glasses for this one.
All right, and we back up in the building. Thank you guys for coming through. I really appreciate it. Everyone who is here right now, please go ahead and share the broadcast out to your family, friends, timelines, friends, comrades, all that. Just share it. Sharing is caring. All right, so on today, man, we've been gone for a couple of weeks. We've missed y'all.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
My boy Dwayne, I didn't even notice he was. What up, brother?
Yeah, he down here with his cutoff tank top.
I had to make it right for today.
You know, but I'm glad you guys are doing good, man. How was your break? Real quick before we get into the topic here, because we've got two good co-hosts that we're going to introduce here in a little bit. But how was you guys' break? I mean, we was off for a couple of weeks. I know Ephraim been busy working and all that. What's your break? How was your break?
Everything going good, man. Refreshed, re-energized, ready for 2021.
That's what
I ain't lying. We got. Let's get excited for the next in 3 days and counting. We got something exciting that's happening. Hopefully, we can reunite after this whole. Look, he fingers crossed. Let's
we've already. We're hoping for the best up here when it comes back.
But it's been for me personally, it's been a little rough start for me. But other than that, I'm looking forward to. I got some good news, and hopefully that good news builds up. Me and my fiance, let's build an empire. We getting ready for this wedding too. So
man, I'm
Can we get the exclusive on the show today? Or do we need to hang tight? Let's hang tight. I don't want to ask you for okay. Yeah. But we're gonna need that exclusive out of you though.
Yeah, but no. I'm gonna be down there. I'm going to Texas, this year. So I'm gonna be down there and I'm gonna be in my hammer pants and we're gonna get it cracking.
It is.
All right,
man. I got security on standby just for you.
Jay, how was your break, man? How you been, man? Since New Year's, last time we talked.
Well, I'm saving the world. That's what I do every day. It don't really matter what day it is.
Not all heroes wear capes, brother.
Yep. As soon as I can afford one, I'm gonna get one.
Get a mohair cape.
Oh man,
velvet with it. Get the velvet. Attach, disattach.
That velvet.
This is beautiful. That's crushed velvet. Cole.
Yeah.
Cole got a haircut. Let me tell you something about Cole. Before we get into Cole right quick, he comes into the Brothers of Legacy every single morning, talking trash.
Nothing but trouble.
And I understand why he always does that.
Do you got those pictures still saved? You got those pictures saved?
I mean, he's always in the comments just talking trash, correcting people, talking trash. It's all right. We love him though. And that's why we have him. He's our resident dictionary. I mean, no, okay, that ain't right. This is how you say that. On love it. Cole, how was your break?
Enunciation game up.
Let's see, the first 2 weeks of this year. Well, for me, work-wise, has actually been just as chaotic as the other 366 days of last year. But outside of that,
chaotic.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
You're gonna have to expound on that one, sir.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well,
hey Google.
Since I'm
got work for you. Go ahead.
Wait. Well, since I'm in journalism, before the first week was over, we had to deal with the Capitol building cover. So,
yeah,
just dealing with that, the fallout of it has been really chaotic. But personally, wonderful. I have no issues with that at all. So yeah, I'm blessed. I'm blessed,
What?
man.
How was your break, man? Where my baby girls at? I haven't seen them in forever. What's up with that?
Babysitter, bro. I can't have my babies looking rough on camera. and I ain't all that great with doing hair, so I can't have my babies looking rough on camera. So
man, hey, look, we've seen you do hair, and you do hair 10 times better than what I do, bro.
I haven't been in forever. All right, so what we got today, you guys, is that we have let's see. I had some questions from my guys. What they did was they sent me a list of questions for Jay and Cole, who's going to be our co-host today. It's about 11 questions, and we're talking about race and racism. Now, I will tell you this before we get any further here, that you can always follow this podcast at the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast.com. Go and check that out. The call-in line will be on fire, 657-390-2503. Make sure that you go ahead and call in. Talk to us. This is a very interactive show. It may not seem like it, but it is. I promise you. Also, I want to go ahead and let you guys know and make a great big old announcement that this podcast is part of a great crew called the SoundMachine.fm radio. We are now independent radio. So listen, I need you to go and download the Live 365 app on your phone or computer or whatever it is, Live 365. All right. So when you go into and you download that particular app, you do a search for the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. We are live on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So if you miss us on Sundays, you can catch us on Tuesdays on the app. So I want to shout out Lynn. I don't want to shout out Ricky over there. They're pretty awesome folk, and Ricky put together a stinger for me last night. Yeah, we tried.
Mama, we made it.
We made it. Okay, so thankful for them. Lynn has always been a fan of mine. I've always been a fan of hers. She's
awesome. She is.
Yeah, she is awesome.
Wonderful person.
Yeah,
wonderful person.
She hated my solo podcast, but it's okay. But she likes to.
She has taste. That's
you need some variety.
I love her for it. It's cool. It made me do this, because she hated the solo. She was like, "Oh no, man, it's too many or you got too much music."
You didn't have the hammer pants on in the solo.
No hammer pants no hammer pants. All right, so
guarantee he's wearing them right now.
No. I'm wearing pajama pants. I'm not wearing hammer pants. All right, and I'm freezing in this garage, that's for sure. All right, so we're going to get into our topic, race and racism. Listen, this country is at a different place when it comes to race and racism. And so we're going to get into a couple of questions. So I don't know. I just wrote the questions down. So you guys, whoever sent me this question, you guys can expound, because I'm sure Cole and Jay is going to want you to expound on your question. Okay. So I'm just going to read it and you guys tell me who wrote it. All right. So the first question I have for our guests is, historically speaking, is racism a part of the foundation of America? That's the first part of that question. Second part of that question is, what strides have been made to refabricate said foundation? I'm not sure who wrote that. So we'll get into it.
That sound like Mr. Dwayne down there, Mr.
Yeah.
Mr. Euphemism, Mr.
That's the good son.
He got all type of nicknames.
That's the good son. So Jay, Cole, whichever one.
This is an easy one. Yes. It's part of the foundation of America. I don't even think that's debatable. That is historic fact. The fundamental, one of the things that we talk about often is the fundamental impetus for our economy was slavery. Slavery created the need for banks. Slavery created the need for insurance companies. Slavery created the need, the growth of our agricultural system. Everything comes back to slavery, and yet slaves had no rights for which the government had to honor, either before they became the United States of America or after, until much, much later. So I think that's like, it's not even a question. As far as have we made strides, I would say yes and no, right? On one hand, obviously we're not picking cotton in somebody's field no more, right? So I think on one hand we have made strides, and I think some of the things that we're seeing currently on TV since January 6th are other ways that we are throwing little chips into the glass ceiling. But as far as has the country in and of itself made strides, there are 70 million people who supported someone who was cool with racism, right? 70 million people. The second highest amount of people voting for someone outside of Joe Biden, right? So you can't ignore that. And now you see that when the institutions for which white supremacy has been the foundation start to crumble, they are ready to burn it down. They're ready to kill their own congressman and their own vice president because they don't want to see any degree of progress. So as far as those attitudes, I don't know that has changed much, but we're not responsible to catering to those attitudes. We're responsible for living our best life.
Yeah, that's right. Cole, you got anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, Jay, that did a wonderful job as always, man. To answer your first question, when you have the beginnings of our country actually hinge upon a riot, protest, that pretty much is all you need to know. This country was founded, basically the foundation of it is laid on nothing but bodies and blood. So yes, the answer to your first question is an overwhelming yes. To answer your second question, and then I do agree, yes and no. Yes, from the standpoint of we have people who are more college educated, we have more entrepreneurs, we have that. But the no is we have now turned the slavery end of it, and now we have a pipeline to prison. And we're seeing more and more of that come into play, to the point where every 4 years when we have these presidential debates, one of the quote black issues, close quote, has to be prison reform.
Preach.
Right. Every year, every time.
That's a black issue. So to me, yes to a degree, no to a lot of degrees, because we actually got a chance to see last week, almost 2 weeks ago, live in a living color, literally, people who don't look like us commit crimes on a federal grounds. And they were lucky to have maybe under 5 people dead because of it. But if any of us on this panel were to do the same thing those people in DC did, we would all be dead.
Absolutely.
It'd be a complete massacre, complete bloodshed. I 100% agree.
Yeah. Like, that's gonna get swept under the rug because it didn't happen, but that's pretty amazing that only 5.
Only 5. That's a good number.
Well, it's hard to kill your
That's a good
cousin.
number, but you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to kill your cousin.
Well, as I said, America does not want to kill the ones they love.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Lynn says just in the comments. So those of you guys who are listening to us audio only, this is a Facebook live stream. So I will be reading comments of the viewers that are watching us right now live. And Lynn, who is the president, CEO, founder, co-founder of Sound Machine, she is in here. She said she just watched a great movie on Amazon Prime last night called One Night in Miami, all about this topic. We're talking about a night where Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown hung out and talked about their roles in racism. Now, I do not have Amazon. I'm going to check that out. I'm going to get somebody's login here in a minute. A.D. Walker, the president, not president, but founder of the Brothers of Legacy is in the building as well. He said that is absolute truth. So thank you for coming through. I really appreciate you.
A.D., my brother.
Share the broadcast out. Please share the broadcast out. The call-in line is lit, 657-390-2503. We're going to move on. Actually, that two-part question has a so it's like 1A, right? So that same question for the American church. Let me reread it. Okay. Historically speaking, is racism part of the foundation of America? What strides have been made to refabricate said foundation? And is it the same for the American church? Is it the same?
I would have to kind of figure out what the question is asking. So what I take it to assume is
let me clarify for you, bro. Let me clarify for you. Okay, so the Christian religion or the American church in America, what part did racism play in its foundation? And has the American church since the foundation has it made strides to clear out racism in the church?
Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Well, one of the things about the American Foundation is we were able to hide a lot of atrocities that people were doing to their own humanity under the Bible, right? So the Bible was used initially during colonialism as a way to absolve certain people of the guilt or responsibility of taking over and savagely killing both Native American indigenous communities and Africans. They would say, okay, well, as long as you baptize them, they're okay. You can keep doing what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what happened is the institution of church, I always like to separate from actual spirituality, right? Yeah. So the institution of church was something that was fundamentally put in place as a control mechanism to keep us from ever coming together and trying to overthrow what was going on. However, a lot of our leaders were able to go into that institution and freak it in their own way to lead the very same rebellions that they didn't want us to have. So you think about people like Nat Turner. He was a preacher, right? Nat Turner knew what they were doing wasn't right. So he went and he disguised his messaging to incite people to join his cause through preaching, right? They trusted him to go preach. He said, I'm going to do it. And he went out and preached, got his people up and started killing folk, right? Yeah. So it has been used in many different ways, but I also think part of the indoctrination has to do with slaves complying tacitly with masters, right? So the concept that there's a God and there's a heaven, and that after this life, you're going to get some kind of reward later, as long as you do what we tell you to do now. And I think what has happened is for a large portion of our demographic, they take the stories more literally than figuratively. And they say, well, you know, it's okay if I suffer. I'll just keep suffering until I get to the upper room, and then it'll be better. And the whole question is, why can't you have a slice of the pie while you're here? Right. So I think we've got tons of leaders in the past who have used religion to, you know, for the Black church especially, to get people together, to boycott, to protest, and to advocate for many of the rights that we can enjoy today. But it always has to be viewed as something separate than what the institution itself was designed to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is an absolute no. Simply because the church has been a mechanism, like Jay said, it's been a mechanism for control. It was a mechanism for control in 1776. It's a mechanism of control in 2021, and it goes back to an old saying: the more things change, the more things stay the same. But the thing is, it's different. In the 18th century and mid 19th century, it was slavery. From the mid 19th to the mid 20th century, it was Jim Crow, and from then on, it has been, as I said earlier, prison. And now, as of the last 10 years, it's been politics. And it has all been washed in this understanding of, well, we believe in our God, and our God says this, and it basically absolves whatever it is, whether it is a crime, whether it is treating another person inhumanely, which in the Bible it says for none of us to do. And it also says that for us to enslave others, but it's not talking about that physically. And so we've been seeing a lot of people who take what is in the Bible and just simply misuse it, misapply it, and then justify it by saying, well, the Bible says it here, but they don't get the understanding of what the word is trying to really say. They just take it at face value, but they don't dig in. They don't dig in deep to get the full understanding of what the particular scripture, that particular parable, or even that particular chapter or book is saying.
Yeah, and it's so funny what Cole's saying, because it's, even as we look at the riots and everything, not jump ahead of you, it's just like they all are out there thinking they're doing the right thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're thinking they're saving America. They're thinking that they're honoring God. I mean, as misled as it might be, as misinformed as it might be, that's their driving passion. What makes a man crash a plane into a building? You feel me? Like it's a powerful tool that has been greatly misused.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump into number 2. There's another question. I got like 10 more questions that I want to get into. I don't know if we'll get into them all today, but question number 2, I want everybody to jump on this one. Goodson is commenting in the live. You my man. I like how you do that. He said, absolutely, Cole, except I don't think that they're taking it as face value. Love your neighbor. That is the comment that Dwayne Goodson has made. So we're going to get into question number 2. Everybody to chime in on this one. As black folks, do we continue to teach others about racism towards minorities, even though we are tired of teaching? As black folks, we continue to teach others about racism toward minorities, even though we are tired of teaching.
What's the teach?
That was my question, and I literally, man, this one hits home.
Yeah.
As far as being in Texas, you don't think you would see as much racism, but man, racism lives in every organism on this planet. Yeah. And as a minority, I'm half Mexican, I'm half black. To me, I have the best of both worlds. I can have chicken on one day, I can have tacos on the next day.
I like how you said that, brother. I love how you said that.
But my problem is, and I want a perspective. Maybe somebody can, give me something, because there's something deep inside of me that burns, and it's, it's like, man, us minorities, we're so tired of teaching the reach one, teach one every single minute that comes forward. But do we continue to do, and do we just sit back and say, you know what, let karma come out and get you? Or, do we wait patiently for Jesus to come down and say, hey, I told you so? I mean,
you can just smack the crap out of folks. You gotta, maybe you can. I would just no.
What?
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely for multiple reasons. One, if you don't, then there's a vacuum of information that's not being there. So when a person don't know something, they'll believe anything. And then you got to deal with the reality of sometimes, regardless of how much you teach and how much fact and truth you show, stupid is, stupid does. I mean, I think
that's Forrest Gump reference.
Yeah, the most ignorant people on the planet are generally the biggest racists. It was crazy because you're my boy. I think I might be able to say this. You can check me if I'm off. But like when you said what you said initially, man, with you got it double bad because they're like build the wall and get out of our country at the same time.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog.
Let's get in number 3. Let's go at number 3. What's the impact of racially motivated ideology? I can't spell that. I can never say that word. All right,
Ideology.
Cole, thank you. All right, systematic racism within Black culture. Let me reread it. I kind of jacked it up. What's the impact of racially motivated
Ideology,
aka systematic racism within the Black culture? Whose question was that?
That was mine.
Okay, D. You want to abound?
Do I need to go into detail?
Yeah,
Expound a little bit.
Let me rephrase it.
Okay.
How does systematic racism affect us internally as a community?
Ooh,
well,
man.
Look at the homes. Just look at the homes, man.
Yeah.
Just. I mean, it's more and more we have to deal with single parent families now, and you know, there's this drawing of a white man in a suit in a starter's position, like they're doing on like a 100-yard dash, and there's a Black woman in the same starter's position in the 100-yard dash, and you see the finish line ahead of it. Now, on the path between the starter line and the finish line, for the white guy, there isn't an obstacle at all. But for the Black woman, there's a hole, there's barbed wire, there's a crossing, a construction crossing, and just regular other hurdles before she even gets to the finish line. And you keep hearing a lot of the time that well, yeah, you can pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You can easily make it. It's America. We all have the same opportunity. No matter if you're Black, you're white, you're brown, you're red, you're yellow. You have the same opportunity.
Preach.
No, we don't. And as for your point earlier, Dwayne, when you said that they don't take things at face value, love your neighbor. Well, you're dealing with a country that, they'll love your neighbor as long as the neighbor looks like them. And so when you have that issue, and you don't have the love the neighbor in terms of it's another human being,
right?
Well, that's when you have systemic racism just wrecking shop everywhere.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate.
Totally, yeah, that's bad. Real quick, let me take a pause for the cause. If you are in here right now, you don't know where you are. You are in the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast live stream. This is a audio podcast that does a live stream. We are on live 365 with Sound Machine FM. I'm sorry, soundmachine.fm. Please put the dot in there. It's kind of like it's like a pimp named Slickback. You gotta do the whole thing.
Gotta say it all together.
Soundmachine.fm. Don't put the dot in there. You will not get the album. You be like, what? Ooh, I can't find them. All right. So real quick, I want to dedicate this broadcast real quick over to for Kevin, his uncle Mickey Peoples. This podcast today is dedicated to Mickey Peoples, who passed away recently, and we are praying for Kevin and his family as we travel to Mississippi on tomorrow. So this is dedicated to you, Mickey. Rest in power, King. All right, so we're gonna go into number 4.
Oh, I wanted to give him that question.
Oh, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Can I give you a twist before you respond?
Go ahead.
Okay, see, a lot of people hear the term systematic racism or white supremacy ideology, and they may not know what it means. While answering the question, can you give some context to what that actually is for those who don't know?
Reading my mind. I wanted to take it back to some powerful words for this country's foundation, right? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, right?
Right.
This was written at a time where white folks was losing their mind because they got charged taxes. Taxes, right? Keep in mind the white folks who were writing these words owned slaves, and they were going home and beating their slaves to bring them the ink, right?
Right.
So at no point in America's foundation were Black people at the table to have these conversations about any of these inalienable rights that they were already communicating about. So your bedrock for systemic racism starts there, right? You can't make rules for a populace that you don't have also contributing to those rules. Otherwise, that's oppression, right? And then as we progress further out from that, what you see is every instrumentality in life has a racial disparity. It doesn't matter if you're looking at graduation rates. It doesn't matter if you're looking at incarceration rates or crime rates. It doesn't matter if you're looking at how many people want to be doctors. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, everything is impacted by race. And I can tell you as a lawyer, it was done intentionally. Like, there's no way that anybody can lie to me and tell me that it wasn't. It was intentionally designed.
To push back on that, the white man would say, and I haven't been a white man. I've been Black all my life.
Okay.
But a white man would say, prove that. Is that your feeling? Or how do we prove systemic racism?
Oh, yeah. You can pull any of the, I can send you a list of Supreme Court cases. We'll start with Dred Scott, where they were like, why is this N-word even in here asking for freedom? Right. We can pull cases and establish this. I also want people to realize that much of what we have, the few freedoms that we as a people have gotten, are not freedoms because somebody was nice enough to give it to us. It was freedoms because we had to fight for it. Yeah. We had to go file cases at times when people didn't even have money. They fought cases all the way up to the United States Supreme Court to force the court to make a decision on stuff. We didn't just get up and say, oh, well, now we can, vote, and now we can sit in the back of the bus, and now we can be free from having people come lynch us in the middle of the night. No, all this stuff was stuff that we had to fight for in the court system, and stuff that, even amongst us, some people felt we moved too slow to act. Some people felt like we needed to take more direct, more radical action. And even if you look, like, a lot of people oftentimes will give you the cop out, like, if you just build your own cities and build your own banks and build your own communities, then you'll be able to do it. We've done that. And what happens, they came and burned it down. Tulsa, Oklahoma is a real thing, right? I think,
why haven't they made a movie about that yet?
HBO done had like 2 shows talking about it, because they had Lovecraft and they had The Watchmen. They're talking about it.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, Watchmen's on there. Okay.
Yep. So
Rosewood a movie too?
Was that
Rosewood? It was a movie.
Rose was another Black thing.
Rosewood was so powerful.
Rosewood. Okay.
Black movie was so powerful. Yes.
They're still sending those kids to college. If you connected to that family, you get a scholarship.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jacksonville.
It was crazy. It was crazy. All right, so let's get into number 4. Fourth question is what is the ultimate agenda for racism? Is there an end game?
Annihilation.
Yes, there's an end game.
Is there an end game for racism?
You saying the agenda for racism specifically? You saying the agenda for us?
Whose question was that?
Racism?
That was mine. Okay. That was my question.
It's Kevin's question. So, you want to abound?
So, like, man, I lost my train of thought. My brother wants to call in right now, so he kind of threw me off. So
tell him to call in. The number's at the bottom.
I told him to call in. You put the number up. He's watching. Actually, shout out to my brother. First time watching us.
Come on.
What's up, bro?
Yeah, but actually, what was that question again?
What was the ultimate agenda for racism? Is there an end game?
Will we in our lifetime ever see a united front with everyone? Like, is the agenda to always keep the foot on the minority's neck? Is that what we're always, because to me, honestly, my opinion, I don't ever think I'll see the end of racism or equality, period, in my lifetime. I hope my grandkids or my kids get to see it, and that'll be the most powerful thing ever to see. I don't think I'll ever see it, but do you guys have any hope for that to happen?
No. I hate to be negative. So here's my position on that. You have to remember 2 things. In America, it's not just that we're a racist system, but we're also a capitalist system. And a racist capitalist system needs a working class that will always be subjugated to what the people with money are able to do. So what happens in America is, for the longest, we did those divisions largely by race, ethnicity, and gender. We said, look, black people are at the bottom of the totem pole, so they're not going to get all the opportunities that everybody else gets. What America didn't anticipate was that so many of us were still going to seep through those cracks and be successful, right? So now every time we have a success story, the issue is they go into their closed doors and try to find a new way to legislatively prevent us from being able to have that ascension, right? On top of that, I also think that what we want within this system might have to be different as well. I'll tell you guys this: we are a lot closer to that goal that you just communicated today than we were, 200 years ago or any time before. Because what's happening is the demographics of America are changing as well, and white people are starting to not be a majority anymore. Yeah. So what the fear is that all the things that they did to prevent us from being able to elevate, they think that whoever becomes the new majority is going to turn it around and do it to them. And we might, we might. I don't know. But what I'm saying is black people have never been out for domination over anybody. Black people just wanted equity. That's all we've ever wanted was equity. And the fact that people don't want to give you equity, that's the battle. You don't get offered equity. You got to take equity. Right. So I think we're doing what we're supposed to do. If you are black and you are educated, or you are working and you are taking care of your kids and you teaching them what they need to do to continue that lineage, you are doing what you're supposed to do. Right. It's your ability to ascend all of these obstacles that's what pisses them off.
Right. So again, this is a call-in show. So if you're watching or listening, you can call in right now, 657-390-2503. My line is real dry right now.
Shout out to my family. And my family, if you are watching, I see you, Christopher, with my last name in there. All right. Call in. We want y'all to call in. Call in. My brother, you said you watching, call in.
Mama McCoy.
This is dedicated. This show is dedicated to Uncle Mickey. So if you love to hear everybody call in, thank you guys for supporting us today.
All right, call in. Now we're gonna do. I'm gonna get a couple more questions in because I don't want to go over an hour because we are on the radio time slot. All right, so I want to do that. So next question. This is for my attorney, Mr. J. Is there a link between gun violence in the black communities and the excessive use of force by police?
No. Okay. So gun violence is on par, equal, no matter what the community is, because crime is equal no matter what the community is. Yeah. People tend to victimize people who live near them. That's just plain and simple. What happens though is it's all about the media spin, right? I like to tell people the story about how we even got drug laws in the first place. The first drug law didn't come in until there was an influx of Chinese immigrants in the West. And what happened is they didn't know what was going on. So they wanted to give cops the ability to interact with members of that immigrant community so that they could find out what's going on. The only way they could do that was to criminalize something that they knew Chinese people would have, which was opium, right? Opium was used for a lot of ceremonies there. But once they did that, it increased exponentially the number of officer transactions involved in those areas. So anytime that there's an opportunity to get involved in reconnaissance of a community, a marginalized community, there's going to be drug laws that's passed. Because they're like, oh, we're going to assume there's drugs. If they're not drugs, we'll bring them to you, right? Like we'll put them in there and give unfettered access to people. The second thing is, I think America has a very interesting system of policing in that we have laws that we already know are culturally biased. And that's just fact. You can look at laws and you can see there are certain things that are criminalized in certain communities that aren't criminalized in others, right?
Absolutely.
But on top of that, it goes to the policing. Where do you allocate the police in a given community when you're trying to bring in people who are violating whatever law, right? If you want to have black people jailed, you're going to send more police to black communities, right? If you want to have white people jailed, you're going to send more police to white communities. It's just the way that it is. So what happens is the news gets these reports And when they get the report, they can throw a black face on it at 6 o'clock to scare the masses as to what black people are doing, so that you will then go to the voting booth and vote for policies and people who are going to increase more prosecutions of black people, more school to prison pipeline, and everything. Essentially, it makes you scared so that you shoot yourself in the foot in your own community. And it's a system. It's one of those things where, like, I can't even blame people if they don't know, because there's so much research to do before you even get there that you won't know. It's just the system. Also, I think people need to understand the roles of the state versus the federal government. So a lot of times when we have officer involved shootings, people rush and they say, well, President so-and-so, you need to do more. Mm-hmm. Well, your president don't necessarily control your police department in the city, right? The president may control what kind of military grade weapons that departments across the nation can get, but they don't control who uses them. They don't control who works there. Some of that stuff comes down to your city officials. And if you don't know that, then you may be voting for the same person to get back in office because they took a picture with some black kids, as opposed to looking at the record and seeing what it is that they're doing.
Who's texting me?
Oh,
that's me. That's me. Okay, that's E from texting me. It's on my Mac. Go ahead, E. Go ahead, E.
Hey, there's a and I like what he said about that, but on this same topic, I mean, is there it sounds like there's an immediate agenda to stop, hey, well, when black folks do this or minorities do this with gun violence and whatnot, they can kill themselves. But when it comes around to, a white man going to El Paso, where my family is located, by the way, and terrorize the Latino community, and he had an agenda. He had a written out scripture of everything that why he did it, the reason he did it, to prove a point, and to actually quote the stinking president at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we have other, shooting up black churches, and yet we don't hear these mass, they come up with excuses. He's not a terrorist. He's a lone shooter. Yeah. He's a lone wolf. I mean, that sounds like part of what Hamilton said here, is they have an agenda, and it's to stop, if it's okay for them to do it. But the moment we get a black on black, man killed by another black man, it's, they did it to themselves and they kind of deserve it. Like, no, so it kind of plays a point. I love what he put out there. I just don't want to cut dry. I want to throw it in people's faces at times and say, look, this is what you're feeding America. Stop feeding us bad crap.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about narrative. Yeah, it's all about narrative. And you got to remember who can in all of these situations. But I just want to piggyback real quick off Mr. Esquire. I love his whole name, the way where he wrote.
That's not his last name. That's just he's in the title.
I know it is. It's a part of the title. It's a part of the title. But I just wanted to add that when answering that question, another thing that most of America don't think about, when you look at policing of certain neighborhoods, right? You look at a differential that doesn't really make sense. You have 75 to 80% of a police force don't even the community that they work in. And here's some of the things that take away from that. That's money that your tax dollars are paying for people to take outside of your community, number one. Number two, they don't care about shooting you 7 times in the back because they don't know you, have to know you, and they're going to shoot you and then leave out to a community and go to their community. So I think part of the fix there is we have to get to a place where we hold these police chiefs accountable. Hey, 50 to 60% of the jobs will come from this community. We're not going to have more than 50% of policemen from outside the community. And those are things that the mayor can affect, which your vote for the mayor can put pressure on him. So just think about those things while you're hearing these all of these facts that Jay's dropping.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so listen, we got about 15 minutes roughly left in the show. I want to get into this last question because I want everybody to chime in on this. We're gonna start with Cole with this question because Cole's been a little quiet, so I want to get into this question. Last question of the show: what steps can America take to reconcile the lie that they were told that white is superior?
Oh, I want to hear Cole on this one. I got to hear this.
Start us off. Yeah.
Well, what can America do? What America can do is something they're not willing to do, and that is actually actually, to borrow scripture, humble themselves, and actually be a listening partner with those who do not look like them. And
okay,
and what I don't. The reason why I don't see that happening is you have people who love being in control of everything. You have people who just love hoarding and having others capitulate to them. They love it. They love the privilege.
Can I say it for you? Cole? The white privilege part, is that what they're loving more than anything else?
Yeah, it goes back to what Paul Mooney said one time. They have the protection for the selection for the protection. And it's because of that they don't want to give that up. And it goes to I think about one of Public Enemy's albums. They have this fear of a black planet. And I say black because they can control black. Brown, red, yellow, they can't control as much. Black, they can control because they've done it for over two centuries, and they want to continue to do it more. That was why you saw so many people want to climb up Capitol building walls because they want to hold on dearly, almost death grip like to the power they have, and that is what is so utterly frustrating to me. You have these people who they want to hold on to it dearly, and they don't want to respect anybody who does not look like them. And so America has to be willing to do something that they aren't going to do, aren't willing to do, never has been willing to do, and in our lifetimes never will do. As much as they want to promise it, just like it was wonderful to hear those Republican senators talk about it was bad to have insurrection happen at the DC Capitol. They'll turn right back around and be on party lines and say, whatever our party is for, that's what we're for. If it means that we get to piss on black people, we're for that.
Party line is real.
All right. Let me repeat the question. I think I had a request to repeat the question. The question was, Ashley, what steps can America take to reconcile the lie they were told that white is superior? That's the question. I'm itching to hear Ephraim on that one.
I can't get no better than these guys, man. Like the saddest part about the question is that they're not really willing to do it, man. Like it would be beautiful. It would start with something like reparations. It would start with something like equal opportunity. I think Jay was hinting at something. No, Dwayne was just talking about percentages of hires would have to be in this, like affirmative action, like completely on steroids. You know, it would have to be some hard scale, black and white, tilting the scale in our favor, and that would upset a lot of communities because I'm convinced, and I'm not going to get on reparations, but I'm convinced after seeing these stimulus checks, they can break us off. You wouldn't even have to give it to all America. You could just go ahead, and it would not solve all the problems in the world. But what a visible, tangible step for America to say, my bad, we was tripping. Sorry, I did that to your granddaddy. You know, something, you know, it would be a step in the right direction. Like I give my wife flowers. It don't make up for it, but I'm just trying to show you, like, this is me. I messed up bad. Here go these flowers.
To your point, Ephraim. Yeah. To your point, Ephraim, America has done that to the Japanese community, and they've done that to the Jewish community.
Yep.
Now, the next time they do it to the black community, will be the first, and they still haven't done it. So
but you know, when they go international, they still get shamed for being the only country to drop the bomb, but nobody shames them for saying, y'all know y'all had all the. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
If the world would jump in and saying when y'all gonna do right, but like Pastor McCoy said one show that black folk hate it everywhere. Color our skin, you see us coming, so the whole world hates us.
Yeah. I mean, we got Africans that actually hate black folks in America.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's a real thing. I thought it was fake until I actually met someone from Africa, a few people from Africa, when I was working in the oil field, and it's really real.
Yeah,
and
colorism is worldwide. Yeah.
To go with what Cole said, they haven't given it to Indians either, though. Indians are continuously till this day. They're still getting pushed off their land. They're still getting pushed off
their land to the casino. They got theirs,
but they got land.
They're getting theirs on the back end, but they're getting pushed out even more. What Trump did with 20 days after he got into his seat, he took somewhere close to over 150,000 acres of land just for oil. Just to drill for oil. There's 20 days. You can look into it, and I Google it. I guarantee you will see exactly what I'm saying. 20 days he took the seat. He signed off on it, all because he wanted the oil industry to be more enriched. And it's cool because my brothers in the oil field, they thrived. They made money off of it. Cool. But at what point do the Indians, along with the black community, get theirs? That by the end of this time, that little property that they have is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking until they're going to end up just like us. Nothing at the end of the day.
So one of the things I do want to emphasize is this concept of white supremacy and even colonialism. That's not just an American construct. This is going all over the world. Yeah. So the reason why the world, it has a disfavor for black people is because they've been trained to have a disfavor. It's people who haven't even met black people who already don't like black people, right? Mm-hmm. I think the second thing is, I've asked this question before. The only thing, do you all know what the only thing America has created? Like without black people, what has America created? Racism. That's the only thing, right? That is the currency of America. To be rich in America is to be heavy with racism. So that's the reason why somebody living in a trailer park with 2 teeth can look at you as a doctor or whatever and still feel like they're better than you, right? Yep. And the problem is that this isn't meshing out to what the reality is. We got reality TV shows where we got people who don't even care about how much money they got going out here making it rain at clubs or whatever. And white people in the trailer park is looking at that and they saying, Stevie J doing all this, how did he get money? And I'm still in the trailer park, right? So that's the anger. And Trump is the person, I don't blame Trump for any of the stuff that's happening because I think he's more of a symptom as opposed to a cause. Right. I think everybody was thinking what Trump was saying, but he was just bold enough to come out and say it and bring them together, right? And I think the problem is what I was shocked to find out is with all of this that they've done to bring this movement together, they lost. Right? That's what's shocking to me. They lost. And now they can't handle it because they're like, I see losses with Stevie J at the club. I'm seeing losses. I'm seeing losses with Obama. I'm seeing losses with Shaq. I'm seeing losses with everybody. They think all of our lives are like that, right? We're doing nothing but living our life. So imagine what happens if black people actually came together with an agenda and we actually started, throwing some of our weight around to get the changes that we want. It would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, you actually said exactly what his name is, Mike, the rapper, Atlanta rapper, Mike. Killer
Mike.
He said the exact same thing. Killer Mike if he run. I love me some Killer Mike. I love what he's doing. I love what David Banner's doing. I don't think we necessarily need a leader of the black community, but I love what they're doing. They're voicing, and that's exactly what he said. Killer Mike. He even came up with the Black Bank community. He's doing some real positive stuff, but that was really good, man. I love what you just said. That was great.
And I'm gonna try to make mine as short and simple as possible. Your question was how does America reconcile everything that's happened to Mr. Hamilton's point. Absolutely, colonialism has been around forever, and it's been perpetrated through religion for probably the last 900 years. We hear about the Crusades, but let's fast forward to America. Tell the truth. Simply put, accept truth.
Yeah.
For instance, Jesus was an Afro-Hebrew person, not white, not blonde hair, not blue eyes. Let's see, his disciples were probably the same color. You can't hide a white man in Egypt and expect him not to stand out. The second thing is, if white superiority is correct, then why isn't Larry Bird the basketball player of all time? Now, Larry Legend is a beast. He's a dog, but he's an anomaly. He's not the average. You look at football, same thing. Same thing. Look at golf, even seeing it there. Barack came and he kicked down doors, and now we got Kamala Harris, and we see Raphael Warnock, Stacey Abrams, just to name a. You talk about fashion and design. You talk about the auto industry. Well, we all know it wasn't Henry Ford. He had a buddy by the name of George Washington Carver that he got a whole lot of ideas from. You talk about inventions. Inventions were created out of need, not because you wanted to make it easier for your slaves. So give those patents back to the slaves that created stuff. Let their families eat from it. You want to be real with it, just be truthful. Look at Dr. Charles Drew, a man who created a life-saving to separate the liquid from the platelets in the blood, and he died not being able to receive the treatment that he created.
It's horrible.
If you want to talk about superiority, let's just talk about the facts of what's already there.
Yeah.
Take away everything that was black made, and then live America. Live American life. In the words, Jay said it easy. The only thing that was created was racism. So you want to know what superiority looks like? The only thing you talk about is what was brought to the table. And if you ain't bring nothing to the table, then you need to shut up. Stop talking. Shut up.
Yeah. Dude, you talking good, man. If you just I don't see what the hurt in admitting it is. Y'all saw when Joe got up there and talked about the crowd, saying if it was black, nobody can tell me. I'll even take that. Just start saying it. Hey, look, we stole that patent. Oops.
Yeah.
I'll start there.
Oops.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
y'all family ate generations off of this. Let these people eat, man. Get all them Jewish record label executives. Give all that money back to these black families. Y'all seen Cadillac Records. Let people eat, man. Just admit the stuff.
All right. So there's a couple of comments I'm going to read here. A. Brian Jordan commented, "To hear black men say that white men owe us more is very sad. We should talk about what we're going to take from white people."
What are we going to take? What they owe? What I'm confused. What's your real issue? Hey,
why should we?
Hold on, April. Hold on. Shh.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
All right. And Ashley Elaine said, replying to Ashley Elaine, she replied to herself. Great stuff. "We need to do away with this system altogether. As long as we keep our country in the ideology that a single person can run the country, and that there's a right side and a wrong side to vote for, they will play race war for leverage all day. It needs to be nipped at the top." All right. But there's a question that Ashley Collins put in earlier when we didn't get to it. We're gonna go over today. Sorry, Lynn. Then the question was,
make edits.
We should all as black people, we should all like each other, but we don't. The question is why.
Internal hate. I don't like you because I got something going on.
Yeah.
So
There's
how dare you be a
prejudice.
lawyer? How dare you be having your own show?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? Because I'm struggling. It's the crab in the bucket. If I see you shining, I'm gonna snag you down, son. I'm gonna put the blind over you. Why you shining over here? You know what I'm saying? It's inside thing.
It goes back to the answer that that Hamilton gave earlier. That Jay gave earlier. When he talked about when he talked about the systematic approach. Look, this is what it's always been. Look, you got one guy on the farm on the plantation, let me not say farm, that works in the house, that works with the horses, that drives massa. He dressed a little bit better because Massa want to have him presentable. And now he get back home, all the cats out in the field that's been out there for 14 hours cooking, they looking at him like, oh, word? That's how it is? And it's never changed. It's only gotten worse.
That's the game you playing.
And let me put this out there too. One of the things that the biggest lie that we tell people, particularly in America, is this concept of scarcity. We make it seem like the pie is only big enough for so many people. And you got to fight and get yours.
Say that, bro.
Who cares if anybody else gets theirs? And the problem is...
Sorry, Jake. Repeat what you just said.
You said that, bro.
So scarcity. There's this concept that the pie is out there and only certain people can get it, right? And it's not enough for everybody.
Yeah, limited supply.
And as a result, everybody is fighting to get their piece. I'm trying to get mine. Like, I want mine, whatever. But what you realize is when you really look at just the world in general, right? These people who telling you that we don't have enough for you, they shipping tanks to Iraq. That stuff costs money.
Dwayne said $1 billion in gas fuel.
Exactly. How much money did Jeff Bezos made while we in a pandemic, right? While we in a pandemic. People who have money are greedy and they don't want to share. And the problem is in the capitalist system, if they don't put in, they hoard their resources, then they make it seem like we're all fighting for the last, 10% of resources, when in actuality, all they got to do is kick in their fair share. You kick in your fair share, we're all working. But when you say that, that's when people want to call you a socialist. That's when people want to say, you want to be something different. The last thing I'll say is I never wanted to be lost on anyone about how exactly these people got money. And I'm not talking about, not to discredit Bill Gates, because Bill Gates, I know, built his computer system, software, and all that. But somebody had to have the money for him to have the house to be able to go in his garage and make the computer sales. A lot of Black people, we legally could not own property in certain places until 1968. So we're not talking about something that our great-great-great-grandparents were dealing with. We're talking about something that our mom and dad was dealing with. Something our grandma was dealing with. So a lot of us are the first generation of people who didn't have those chains holding us back. And we've been able to work miracles with next to nothing. Right. So the fact that we're doing this and we can pass something down to our kids and keep, the development and the ascension going, gives us an opportunity to get more of the pie that we should have had in the first place.
This comment I'm going to get ready to read from my coworker, Mrs. Bobby Joe Lee. And she says, that's a crazy question to me. She says, I'm white. Am I supposed to like all white people? The ideal of what's going on is what's on the forefront, not an individual person. Right. I agree.
But I think it's not necessarily talking about liking people, Miss Bobby. It's talking about hate that causes you to oppose your brother. It's a hate from them that say, I can't let him get a job because if he gets a job, I can't give it to my son-in-law. Like it's a hate because it's not about like, because you don't know me. How you don't like me?
Can I give a slightly different answer? What we're trying to say, Miss Bobby Joe, is equivalent to the names that people who were born and raised in America during the colonial times, they didn't treat Italian Americans like their white brother back then. They didn't treat Irish immigrants like their brothers back then. They were just a slight step above us, and they had all kinds of names that were probably almost as bad as the N-word. So when we're talking about that question, we're talking about that deep-seated hate, not just I don't like the way you smell or you just look funny. I don't like talking because it don't make sense. We're talking about the deep Gangs of New York shows the
Gangs of New York. Yes. It's more. It has more to do with that hatred in the bottom of your heart. Like it's so black that at the end of the day,
why I gotta be black?
That kind color,
come on,
at the end of the day, it's something that it's that love thy neighbor. I don't think that's ever really gonna exist 100% across the board, but it's that's the percentage of what we're really talking about, Miss Joe.
And T, I know you got to go, man, but what Jay said, man, was powerful, bro. Like, I don't even believe in oversaturation no more. Like, to think that you can't put out a radio show because Rogan or somebody else got a radio show.
Yeah.
No, it's enough out here for all of us, bro. No man is an island. Somebody gonna lean on this show and get the information and pull from it. I watched Cole's show just like I watched First Take. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
it goes better.
Dan Cole's better. Like, and that's the thing, man. Some of this stuff is about exposure, man. I'm talking about we with some talented brothers. So it's just like, you know, he might be one major case away from being the next Ben Crump. You feel what I'm saying? Is he any less a lawyer? You feel what I'm saying? So some of these people get exposure and opportunity, but I'm with Jay because I had that same thought process for a while. Like, well, I can't be an astronaut because somebody else said they want to be one. Well, give that up. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, there's space out here.
Give it up.
Space.
We can
Actually, I'll answer this question very simply. I'll answer this question very simply, Ashley. The reason why you have black people who hate other black people is because they don't live the scripture of love your neighbor as yourself. Because, well, it's hard to love your neighbor if you don't love yourself.
Come on, man. Mm-hmm. That's it.
And my brother simply put it as, you know, it's just simple prejudice. Simple prejudice. I mean, you can be racist, but you can also be prejudiced within itself.
Cole, repeat what you just said.
Oh, I said, you know, there's a scripture in the Bible, part of it, that says, love your neighbor as yourself. It is very hard to love your neighbor if you do not love yourself.
I just want you to repeat so I can hit you with the and that is it.
That's it.
Right there. That is, we can drop the mic, we can end the show, we can go home right there. What you just said. Speaking of ending the show, thank you guys for coming through. I really appreciate y'all on season 2 premiere of the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. I want to thank my regular crew, Kev, Ephraim, Dwayne, for coming through. I want to give a special shout out and a thank you to Jay Hamilton and Cole Johnson for coming through. Just to before we get into that, because I did not introduce them, so I do it at the end of the show. And see, Bobby comment was, I have had many convos about sometimes hate. Holding grudges and vengeance is not ours. Hold your head up high, because the enemy only messes with the people that scare them. By the way, I'm 0.2% black. So according to that one drop, you black all day. And
there you go, Bobby. Welcome to the family.
Welcome to my barbecue.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you.
To the barbecue. You come to the barbecue.
For sure.
Mr. Jay Hamilton, do me a favor and raise your hand for me. Mr. Jay Hamilton is a lawyer in North Carolina. He is the one of the Brother-in-Law podcast. Also, he's part of a great podcast called Pan Africana.
Yeah,
Pan Africana on they come on Saturdays. I actually went in yesterday. They're pretty good. They had a guy yesterday on named Desire, and Jay had a great come on with him. He was like, "Hey man, that must work with the ladies, Desire." Yeah. And so we got Cole Johnson, who is a podcaster as well. He is the founder and podcaster of Cole Sports on YouTube. Listen to me, and I'm gonna shoot this real quick. And I know I talk junk about Cole, but see, Cole, that podcast on YouTube, go right now. Everybody that's in here, all 11 of y'all, I need for y'all to go over to YouTube, subscribe to Cole Sports. I need for Cole to send me a message 10 minutes from now that says that 11 people just subscribe to his channel, because his antics, his quote,
crazy.
It's spot on, and he's better
the best voice on YouTube.
LeBron James is not the GOAT.
Yeah,
that's right.
Please don't get him started.
He is not
like he said. You just got to be the last man standing. That's all he got to do.
And it's on it. Pan Jay's broadcast, and go check it out. So Jay, Cole, how can the folks get to find you outside of the podcast? Is there a website you guys can go to, or can they subscribe to you guys on Facebook? Or
they can follow me. I put my my social media handle in my little blog, but at J Hamilton McCoy 2 on social media. So find me, follow, and also, you know, to Kev's point earlier, I think Pan Africana is all about connecting the bridges between the diaspora. So you know, African people need help. We need help. We need to start working together.
Yep,
absolutely. Cole?
Well, you can just find me basically at Cole Sports with a Z on all social media, and Cole Sports with a Z at gmail.com. You can reach me there, and I'll be glad to answer whatever questions you may have, sports or otherwise.
Yes. and he's a man of his word. So if you got any sports questions, go to Cole Sports. All right, we're gonna get out here again. Thank you for everybody who came through. Thank you for
illustrious
your time.
guests. Yes.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Everybody who has shared the broadcast out,
Thank you, Jim.
and all that. Thank you so much for that work. We'll see you guys on next week at the same bat time, same bat channel. You guys have a great rest of your. I told Ashley I wasn't going to forget. Also, you can check out the Brothers of Legacy Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not on all week. I just come on Mondays and Thursdays because it's my late day and off day with that show. With AD, Pastor Brian Ephraim comes on. He's practically a brother of Legacy. So
I'm a cousin of Legacy right
now.
now.
Dwayne,
I'm like the stepbrother.
I mean, Jay's been on a couple of times. Hey, Bobby, thank you, Bobby Joe. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We'll talk about it tomorrow when I come to work. So we're gonna get out of here. You guys have a great one. We'll see you on next week. Peace. Oh, yeah.